Hello, everyone. So, I'm here to share a conversation and a message from Jesus. So, before this, I had been praying, just asking for forgiveness. I had been really getting distracted and just getting sidetracked with just a lot of things going on in the world, and, just feeling kind of disconnected. So, Jesus began, I hear your prayer and I forgive you. It's very easy to fall into distraction, and it's not entirely your fault. The atmosphere is very thick of sin and demonic influences that no one is impervious to. These are truly perilous times you're living in, love. I understand. It's honestly hard to catch my breath from everything that's occurring in this world. What do you want to share with us today, Lord? He continued, there is never a moment where you aren't being pursued by Satan, whether you entertain his advances or not. The pursuit never ends. I only call you deeper into my heart to dodge these advances from Satan. This is the only way that you will be able to withstand the hell you will experience on this earth. This is why I stress for you to avoid distractions at all costs. They will pull you into a deep pit that's hard to get out of. I want to share a story of an older woman dealing with weariness. She lived a long life and was a recent widow. Her husband worked at a steel plant for many years. She didn't have very many friends, but had some who all passed away, including all of her family members, and she kept to herself a lot. She and her husband were very much in love and would have weekly picnics at a park throughout their 45-year marriage. No matter what went on in their lives, they never missed a weekly picnic until the woman's husband became very ill with scarlet fever. She did not realize this at the time, but her husband agreed to bear this sickness for the sake of his wife's soul. This man was my servant and served me faithfully throughout his life and lived a very hidden life dedicated to the needs of others. He brought many souls to me without him being present during those private dedications. He never sought to esteem himself above anyone else and always gave me the glory in whatever he did. The woman, however, was not a woman of faith. She grew up knowing and being taught my ways and how to have a relationship with me, but rejected the idea of being submitted to me. She dedicated herself faithfully to her husband and derived the majority of her happiness and fulfillment through her life with him. The rest of her happiness came from the company of family and friends. She had no goals or dreams and rarely gave of her time to others in need, and only went out of her way for her husband, family, and friends. She lived very selfishly and lived her whole life with a heart of stone. I longed for her to draw close to me, but I could never get her attention. So I began to take her family, friends, to bring her to the point where there was no one she could run to but me. Once I finally took her husband, the woman fell into a deep depression and weariness, and it was then that she cried out to me and asked for forgiveness and for me to take her soul so she could no longer feel the pain of being alone on the earth. I searched in her heart and I saw a small glimmer of longing for me, but there was an even bigger longing to be reunited with her husband. Even in her despair and loss, she did not truly desire me at that moment. Wow, Jesus, that's a pretty sad story. What happened to her? Did you take her soul? I took her shortly after that prayer and gave her time to take her journey to sonship before she was finally brought to heaven to be with me and be reunited with her husband. You see, there was a part in the story that I left out. The woman had a very hard upbringing. She did not grow up in a loving home, but a home filled with harsh religious stipulations. Her parents were ministers and ruled their home with an iron fist and painted a horrible picture of me to this woman. Even though she knew of my laws, she grew to fear and resent me because of the actions of her parents and never felt validated or seen by them. It was when she met her husband that he provided the validation, attention, and love that she missed in her life. This is why she was so attached to him. Because of this life she endured, I granted her mercy to journey to sonship and have the opportunity to fall in love with me and start the work that she was created to start on earth. She faced struggles, but she was able to succeed and understand the need for me in her heart. There are many layers to my mercy and what I look for in my children. Majority of the time, you will be brought to a place of brokenness and weariness because only through this place will you recognize your littleness, frailty, and need for my hand in your life. When you are full of yourself and believe you have all the answers to the questions of your life, you never come to a place of littleness and brokenness, but you live in a place of pride and have a very limited scope of the true purpose of your life and existence. There is a reason why I bring so many of you to this place of excruciating pain. That is the only way I can penetrate your hearts, and the only way you will learn the value of suffering and its benefits. Weariness has a purpose at the appropriate time. When it's not appropriate, it becomes a hindrance and blinder, so it has a dual purpose, enlightenment and hindrance. Think through this and apply it to the areas that I lead you to. Remember that everything you suffer has a purpose, and only through seeking me will you be aware of that purpose and be given the plan to move forward. And that was the end of Jesus' message. So I really felt like this story was very interesting, about the woman and her husband and just what Jesus was able to do for her and just what she endured. And it really helps me to realize, that it's so important to lean on Jesus. I probably say that in every video, but it's the truth. It's so important to lean on Jesus and not put all of our faith and our hope and our, everything into other people. Even our spouses, even family and friends. We have to look to Jesus. We have to get to know him. And he's always extending his hand to us. He always wants us to draw closer to him. And that's the whole reason that we're here, to love him. That's the whole reason that he created us, was to love him. And that's all he wants. So I hope that this encouraged you to really dedicate yourself and your life and your heart to Jesus. Thank you so much for listening, and God bless you.